A wonderful middle school science class. This is Miss B with your instructions for your first science assignment. If you look on your front packet, under the instructions, if you go down to science towards the bottom of the front page, you'll see that your instructions are to read the story about the Addams family and also to answer the 2 questions at the end of the story. So you should have some slides printed out that tells you a little bit about Adam. So hopefully you remember that a couple people had Adam in whatever class you're in as their vocab word last week. So this is what we're going to talk about first with our new unit. So there's a couple things you need to know. We'll get a little bit more detailed as we go, but here's kind of the brief version. So each atom has different parts. One part that atoms have are called the protons. So you can think about protons as like Patty proton. They're always positive. See, Patty is smiling in this picture, like a happy face emoji. They really like to hang out in the nucleus, or you can think of the nucleus as like an arcade. So an arcade, if you don't know, is a place where people all go to play games. So they like to hang out in the nucleus arcade. So in the world of Matterville, there's a place called the Nucleus Arcade where 2 members of the Addams family like to hang out. One is Perky Patty Proton, who, like her sisters, is quite large and has a big smile and eyes that sparkle. Patty is always happy and has a very positive personality. So Patty, the proton, is positive. So large and positive are the 2 things you need to remember about protons. Large and positive. There's also Nelda, the neutron, who's very neutral. So neutral, right? If you think about someone that's neutral, they have they're not happy or they're sad. They're neither one of those things. They're neutral. So nerdy Nelda neutron is large, just like Patty, but she has a boring, flat mouth and eyes with 0 expression. Her family is very apathetic and neutral about everything. So Patty, Nelda, and their sisters spend all their time at the arcade. So there's more than one Nelda, or others like Nelda that are also neutral, and others like Patty that are also positive. There is a 3rd person in this bunch, and that is Elliot Electron. So around the arcade, you'll find a series of roadways that are used by another member of the Addams family, enraged Elliot Electron. Elliot races madly around the arcade on his bright red chrome-plated Harley Davidson. Or maybe in Razdolna Land, he likes to race around on his bike or his quad. You can think of it that way. He rides so fast that no one can be sure where he is at any time, kind of like some of you guys. Elliot is much smaller than Patty and Nelda, and he is always angry because his bigger relatives will not let him in the arcade. He has a frown on his face, his eyes are squinted with anger, and he has a very negative attitude. So you need to know that on the outside is Elliot, and he's negative, he's unhappy, right? It's just like someone that's always finding the worst in everything, glass is half empty, he is negative. So here's kind of a picture to show you. So there's like multiple streets around the arcades. The arcade's in the very center. Nucleus Arcade, you can see there's some positive Patties in here. There's some nerdy, neutral Neldas in there. And then there's a whole bunch of angry or enraged Elliots on the outside floating around. So each street can only hold so many. So kind of like some of those double tracks that go like down to CeeLo and stuff can only hold one bike at a time. Like you can't ride side by side. Same thing. So the first street around the Adam Arcade can only hold 2 enraged Elliots on their bikes. The next one can only hold 8. So it'd be like having a street where 8 of you could ride side by side. And then it just gets bigger from there. There's other streets on the outside, depending on the arcade. So that's really the main thing that you need to know. So there's a couple problems at the end. So the morale of Matterville is stable as long as each negative Elliot brother is balanced by one positive sister. So the number of residents depends on the protons and neutrons. Sorry, angry or enraged Elliots that you don't really count. So answer this challenge question. So what would happen to the morale of Matterville if one Elliot electron was kidnapped? So one Elliot disappeared. He fell off a cliff. You went down to CeeLo for the day. What do you think is going to change the morale? Do you think it's going to be more positive, more negative? So think about that. Write down your answer, maybe next to your slides. And then challenge question number 2. What would happen to the morale of Matterville if one Elliot electron moved to Matterville? So what would happen if another enraged Elliot came down up from CeeLo and joined Resdolna? Would it become more negative, more positive? So write down your answer next to the side. Think about that. And then I will give the answer with the next video.